Hi guys, it's Cece. Welcome back to my corner of the internet where we talk about whatever I feel like talking about. And today I wanted to do a reading recap, a January reading recap, because I'm trying to get into reading. And this video is partially for myself because I want to hold myself accountable because I have not read properly in years. It's been some years. Okay, guys. I used to be an English major in college. And then after I graduated, the job that I got out of college, I didn't really require me to read a whole lot. And if y'all know anything about being an English major in college, it's 10 books every week you have to read. The burnout was crazy. Okay, the burnout was crazy. And it was a lot of like really intense literature. If I ever see Chaucer in a bookstore or otherwise, I will end it all. I will end it all. That man took a lot from me. And so when I graduated college, I kind of put reading on the back burner and I have not been reading as much as like I would consider myself a non-reader. I still read. Like when I think about it, I probably still read more than the average person, but for me, reading like 5 books a year, that's crazy. Now I'm trying to like get back into it as a hobby and to kind of keep myself sane. So I'm probably gonna start doing recaps on my channel just to like hold myself accountable, so I'm reading every month and to motivate myself. Also, you may have noticed I got a new camera. Yeah, I got a new camera. It has a little viewfinder thing on the side, which is what I'm looking at. Looking at the camera lens directly makes me nervous and makes me feel like I'm talking to an actual person, and that's not. We want like a slightly to the left energy. Like I'm talking like towards you, but not at you. You know, I haven't figured out how to hook up my mic to it yet, but I tested it out and the audio seems okay. Fuck, I have a muffler. I put the muffler on, so the audio should sound a little bit better, hopefully. I'm trying to figure out the best place in my room to film. So if you guys have watched this video and like previous videos, like let me know what's more your vibe. I kind of like this because you can kind of see my bookshelf and stuff in the background, and like it's like white on this side. It's like a juxtaposition situation, so I'm kind of living for it. My towel is on the door. I'm too lazy to move it. It'll be gone in the next video because it's bothering me right now. I'm gonna take it down. Towel's gone. So yeah, I just wanted to start doing reading recap videos on my channel because I'm also trying to figure out like my genres. Without further ado, let's get into it. I'll have all the books that I read last month timestamped, so if you want to skip around, girl, feel free to do that. I be doing it. Go crazy. A lot of these books I got were from my local library. Exactly. If you don't have your library card, go get your library card. You can even probably get a digital library card. You probably don't even have to go to the library to get your library card. Because at my library, I can get 50 books at once. That being said, a lot of the books I read this month were from the library, so I do not have them with me because the library told me the time is up. The time is now. Give them back. And so I returned them. So I don't have them anymore. The first book I read was The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I heard that this book was really good. A lot of people like Grady Hendrix. I also don't read horror, so I don't know what compelled me for this to be like my first book of the month, the first book of the year. I don't know. I do love vampires. The first book I read this year was The Southern Book Club's Guide to Vampires. The Guide to Slaying Vampires. Jesus Christ. Why the name so goddamn long? I was in the library listening / watching one of the booktubers that I love, and she mentioned this book, and it was like boom, right in my line of sight, so I decided to pick it up. The book is set in like the late 80s, but most of it takes place in the early 1990s. This woman she's a stay-at-home mom, her name is Patricia, and she joins a book club with a bunch of these other housewives and they start reading books and stuff. The basic premise is that this guy moves into town. Very suspicious character. Things start getting weird when he shows up. Like weird instances start happening, scary instances start happening. And so she's basically on a mission to like expose this man because there's clearly something that's not right with him. I will say, I do think that the title and the premise is a little misleading. Like it says the Southern Book Clubs, but I'll be honest with y'all, just prepare, like when you go into the book, it's mostly Patricia. Like the book club doesn't really come into play in terms of like the whole slaying vampires aspect until like later in the book, like 90% of it, like it's centered around Patricia. And also, this man is not a vampire. I'm just gonna tell y'all now so that you know when you're going into the book, if you're a vampire lover, he's not a vampire. I'm not gonna get into all of it, but I feel like the bare minimum requirements, he might barely scrape by, but I can't in good conscience tell you that the evil in this book is a vampire when I just don't feel like that's the case. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like I kind of have an issue with it being kind of misleading. Also, it seemed like a campy, fun horror novel. That's why I picked it up. I was like, okay, this like book club full of women who's just going out and slaying vampires, like that's so slay. I'm gonna read that. And then I read it, and it's not at all like that. It's a very intense, triggering read, especially in regards to racism, sexism, like the prejudice against the housewives, the men gaslighting their wives. It gets pretty intense, and I kind of picked it up thinking that it was a different kind of book than it was. So that was one of my gripes. Overall, I did really enjoy his writing. Like, the descriptions, vivid. If he wants you to feel something, he will make you feel it. The descriptions are so intense and colorful that bitch, you really are going to be there. You're present in the room, which is really scary. Like, this wasn't even like too scary for real, but I don't like scary things. And so I was like, maybe if it's in a book and not in a movie, like a visual medium, I can handle it. I don't know. It truly may not be the genre for me, but I'm not opposed to like reading his stuff again. I think I gave it a 3.5 just because of the initial like kind of misleading premise of it. There is like an instance of essay in this book that I felt was entirely unnecessary. Like, I don't really appreciate when like horror authors or horror movies use essay as like a horror tactic. It doesn't really hit for me. So that for me was kind of like, I also think that the author was trying to, a white man, keep in mind, that he was trying to like make a social commentary on racism in the 1990s and like how Black people are treated, like their neighborhood getting attacked versus like white people's neighborhood getting attacked, and how it's handled differently. But I feel like he kind of missed the mark for me, because it's like there's like a fine line between like critiquing something and then also playing into those stereotypes and those kinds of perceptions. I don't really think he hit the mark on that for me. So it was going to be a 3, but then the ending, I enjoyed the ending. So the ending made it a 3.5. All right, the next book I have is actually something from my physical TBR, because I, like many people, had a bunch of books that I bought that I never read, including books I bought way back in middle school that I haven't read. So I'm trying to read at least a couple of those every month. I bought this recently, actually, but it's called Cinderella is Dead. Hold on. Okay, Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron, I believe her name is. And I was really excited for this book because when I went to Barnes & Noble to get it, I read like the first like 10, 20 pages or so. And I was like, okay, like this sounds fun. So basically it's about this society that is established after the story of Cinderella takes place. So Cinderella in the society is kind of like the symbol of what every woman should want to be. So their entire society is kind of based off of the Cinderella fairy tale. It's like history. So every girl, I believe when they turn 16, it's either 16 or 18, has to like attend a ball where like they meet a bunch of male suitors, and the male suitors basically get to take their pick. And then they, will get married off and live happily ever after. Now the issue is that if you don't get married by your third ball, or chosen by your third ball, you got to go work in the mines. Like, they basically said 3 strikes you're out, mission failed, indentured servitude. A very deeply misogynistic society. And so the main character is Black. Her name is Sophia, and she is a lesbian. So she has a best friend that she's in love with, and she's like, I don't want to go through the trials. Like, I don't want to go through the ball. Like, I don't want to get married to some dude I don't know who's probably going to treat me poorly. Like, I already have someone I love. And everyone's like, basically that's not an option, yada yada yada. She basically ends up on this quest to like figure out what really happened with Cinderella and why their society is the way that it is, and kind of bring down the king. And it sounds really great in theory, but the writing was not good. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, it wasn't good. There was hardly any character development. I felt like the characters were flat. Even Sophia, like, I felt like she was trying to kind of give this like, oh, like, I'm gonna do things my own way, like, girl boss, like, I don't give a fuck, which I love, but it also, like, as a person, she just fell flat to me. The plot dragged on. Like, this book is 400 pages, and I don't know why, because it felt like we were having the same scene with the same people, or the same scene with different people. And it was like, how many times can we have like these scenes? You're establishing, like, the reason you write scenes is to like there should be a reason for every scene in your book, like either for character development, whether that's, you know, for intel, for the reader to know, for the characters to know. There's got to be a reason for these scenes, but like, it just felt like there were so many scenes where I was like, I don't understand the point of this. Like, this could have been cut out. I don't know why this book had to be 400 pages. And then the payoff to me wasn't good. It wasn't good. I don't think it was worth the read. It was pretty easy to get through because it's like it's not crazy complicated or anything, but just like the way that it was written, I was bored for a lot of this book. So I ended up giving it a 2.5. Unfortunately, it just was like it was not for me. The next book I read, I don't have it with me because I lent it to my friend because I was like, if you want to read something fun and cute, read this, is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. I've been wanting to read the Brown sisters books for forever, since they came out, and I never got around to it, but I finally was able to read it. I'm so happy because it was so much fun. It was fun. Like, it's basically about Chloe Brown, and she's like this disabled Black woman who's like getting her first apartment basically, since like she like moved out with her parents because her parents are like, oh my god, like, you're disabled, so we like need to like coddle you and make sure you're okay and all that stuff. And she's like, you know what, I think it's time to like for me to start living my own life. I'm gonna get me my own apartment. Okay, I'll work from home. I'm gonna do my whole situation on my own. I love it. And so she gets an apartment, and she basically starts this whole flirtationship with the super, because they don't like each other at first, but then as they get to know each other, they go on a few dates or whatever, you know, they get to know each other. It's very, very cute. I would have given it a 5. I would have given it a 5, but I really hate miscommunication. I hate miscommunication, and I hate a third act breakup. Tell me why. Actually, I have the second book because I'm going to read the second book probably this month. Also, gripe. I bought the second and the third book, right? I love that because it's like the first one's white and then yellow and then blue. This cover is a different texture than this cover. Like, this cover and the first book have the same texture, like it's very smooth, but this one is like more matte. It drives me crazy. This is the equivalent of making all these like a series of books, but making them different sizes. This is the same thing. Because while they look the same, like, I pick them up and immediately I feel terrible. Because why would you do that? Why would you make it a different texture? Explain it to me, because I don't understand. But anyway, I hate miscommunication and I hate a third act breakup. There's a reason I got this book out. Imagine the third act breakup is about like this far into the, like I'm talking, we got 40 pages left. 40, 50 pages left. Why would you do that? She thinks like, oh, we're gonna be adults and talk about this. One of them decides to deliberately misunderstand the situation, and it leads to a third act breakup. And I was like, this was so unnecessary. Like, if you're gonna do a third act breakup, I need you to do it like 2/3 into like the book, and I need it to mean something. It just felt like, oh, there's no conflict in this book, and every book has conflict. Which is true. Like, there should be conflict at some point. It felt a little lazy to me. I was like, you could have come up with something else. It bumped it down from a 5 to a 4.5. Moving on to the next book. I decided to read Planet Barbarians. Because I be on TikTok, you know, the monster romance girlies or the alien romance girlies. And I feel like this is one of the popular ones. So I decided, a little ebook or whatever. I gave it a 3 because listen, I had a good time. I had a good time. I feel like it gave what it needed to give. I don't know if I'm gonna continue. Y'all let me know if like the books get better or if it's kind of just the same for like the rest of the series, which is kind of what I expect. But like, I feel like it could have given a little bit more. Like, I feel like it could have been spicier, low-key. That's just how I felt. But overall, I thought it was cute. It was just a cute little something. It wasn't anything crazy. And so I read it. It's basically about this girl who gets abducted by aliens. Fair warning, there is like SA at the beginning of the book with like the original aliens. Just fair warning, because I was not expecting it. Kind of took me by surprise. Just letting y'all know. The original aliens, I don't know what they're doing. They're like experimenting on them or harvesting them. I don't know what they're doing. But there's all these girls who are like in this cage on the alien ship, and the ship crashes on this other planet, this ice planet. And so they're basically, I think, the only ones that survive the crash. One of the girls, Georgie, she basically decides like, I feel like I'm the only one who's well enough, who's not injured enough to like go out and see if we can find something, do something to survive. So she goes out and she meets, you know, Alien Man. And Alien Man, you know how it goes. I think once again, like the essay is really crazy. And then I felt like it could have given a little bit more than what it originally gave. Now we're gonna get into it. So the next book I read, which I also got from the library, was Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Now let me just preface this by saying Jennifer L. Armentrout has a series. I think it's called the Half-Blood series. That's my bread and butter. That series goes platinum in my house because I've been reading that series since middle school, and it's just like a really comfy series for me to read. Not comfy in that it is comfy, but that is one of those things that I can like reread like constantly, just because it like, I don't know, it touches me somewhere deep inside that just makes me feel fulfilled. And so I love that series. And so I know this is one of her recent releases. In fact, it came out 2024, I believe. I gave this book a 2.5, and I think I was being nice. See, I'm new to the current romantasy landscape. Like when I was reading romantasy, it was not called romantasy. Like I was reading Jennifer L. Armentrout. I was reading Julie Kagawa. She had this series called Iron King. Actually, let me fact check myself. Girl, let me not doubt myself. Julie Kagawa's Iron King, Mortal Instruments. Like I was into it like heavy. And so I haven't read any recent releases in this genre. I actually don't know if Mortal Instruments would be considered romantasy, because I don't know. Listen, I don't really know the full definition of romantasy like in the current landscape. I don't know. Yeah, I read this book and I was like, well, this is not great. So the book is basically about this girl. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. This book is basically about this girl who she work in a house. Like she's one of them. There's, you know, because there's always like a hierarchy. She's one of the low bloods. You know, the people who are shit on by society. And then her love interest is one of them. He's like an immortal king, prince, whatever. He's a prince. And, you know, they meet and he like her and, you know, they get to getting. That's all you really need to know. All the other stuff is just extraneous. I love for anyone like who likes this book, like no shade to y'all. I'm just saying, like when I read it, just because I've read her previous books, this is not on the same level as that, which is concerning, because it wasn't like those books were like great works of art or anything. But when I read this book, world building. What world building? There's a map in the front of the book. That's the world building you get. Take a good look at the map because you're not getting anything else. Like the magic, the characters, any sort of setup or plot at all was just, it was absent. It was not there at all. The MMC, I don't even know his name. I don't know his name. I don't desire to look it up. It's probably something like, you know, some sort of like like Vicar something. Like, no, Vicar, I actually think that's the guy's name from Planet Barbarians. This book was, I think it was like 400 or 450 pages, and there's really no reason for it to be that long. It was truly like, when you see like those compilation videos of like shows that are like 10 seasons long, and it's just like a compilation of like one of the ships in that show. This is what that feels like. Like a bunch of disjointed scenes that occur that, if there was a plot, could have been good. But because there is no plot, it just feels like a bunch of different scenes crumbed together and just formed into a book. Like, we need a continuity editor. We need a story editor. We need many editors, because I don't know what that was. It was a waste of my time is what it was. I'm very sorry. It was not good. I will be reading the second one because the way it ended, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very curious as to where this goes. But the MMC, childish. He made, I kid you not, in the first like 100 pages of the book, I swear to God, he made at least 3 different jokes about his cheese whiz. Yeah. And he thought it was funny. I thought it was cringe. What are you doing? Like, that's adult behavior. Okay. And it wasn't even different jokes. It was like the same joke that he said 3 times. I'm like, thinking about it, that's actually the most cringe thing I've ever heard in my life. It was so bad. It was so bad. And the main character, like, there was queer baiting too. Like, she had like this little situation with one of her friends where they kind of like have vibes, but then it's just never brought up again. And the whole book really is like the FMC and the MMC, like them thinking about banging, them about to bang, or like actually banging. So if that's your cup of tea, girl, go ahead and go for it. I'm not judging you. But for me, I need a little bit of plot situation going on. Like, it can't just be, as the girls say these days, like all spice. For 450 pages, it's a waste of my time. Don't do that. I don't know if I'll be reading any more romantasy books, at least any that came out recently. Cause that was a harrowing experience. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Next, after this, I read Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton. Oh my God, I love this book so much. This was such a fun read for me. It's basically about, so this is in space, cause I've really been in a space mood. Like, I just want to be in them ships, in space, in them galaxies, bro. I want to be all up and through that, you know? So I've really been in my space era. So this book is basically about this guy who signs up to be an expendable on this ship that is exploring the galaxy. This planet sends out ships to different planets to see if they're habitable for human life, because things are not looking so good at home base. They're supposed to go to this planet and see if they can habit it, basically colonize it for human life. So he signs up to be an expendable on this ship, and that basically means he is supposed to do all the dangerous, like more dangerous tasks, and if he ends up dying, then they can just clone him. So it's called Mickey 7 because we're on the 7th Mickey. And basically what happens is one of his teammates leaves him for dead, and surprise, surprise, he lives, but they already done cloned Mickey 8. They already have him there. So it's basically about him and like some shenanigans about him and Mickey 8 trying to like make sure people don't notice that there's 2 of them. Meanwhile, they're trying to habit this planet that is very inhospitable and has got a lot of crazy conditions. And it's not that long, but it's super, super fun. I would highly recommend it. I think it's a series, so I will be picking up the next book. I think I gave it a 4. I really, really enjoyed it, but it wasn't giving like a, oh my gosh, like this deserves a 5-star material. It was fun shenanigans in space. Like, what more do you need, really? Like, what more do you need? And it's quick. I think it was under 300 pages, and I also really enjoyed the characters in the book. A small cast of characters that were all like kind of like flawed and a little messed up, but like very relatable in their own way. And I just thought it was fun. The next book I read, which I actually also have with me, is Gone Girl. I have the physical book because I've had it since forever. I tried to read this book in middle school and could not finish it to save my life. So I got the audiobook, and like when I was able to, I would like read along, but otherwise I would just like read it, like listen to it whenever I had the chance. I think it was like 20 hours, y'all. It's a good book. I will say I didn't know the twist. I didn't know what the twist was. I think given how long it's been since it came out, I don't think it was entirely unpredictable for me, to be honest. But I ended up giving it a 3, like flat. While it was like very detailed, right? There was a lot of, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the author used to be a journalist as well. I'm also, be wary of books where the author's the author's name is bigger than the title. Every time I see a book where the author's name is bigger than the title, I'm always like, I don't know. It gives me pause. Gone Girl is basically about Nick Dunn and Amy Dunn, and they're married, very turbulent relationship, and Amy goes missing one day. And so the book is basically about going through the relationship in the past while also, you know, trying to figure out the mystery of the present of like why Amy went missing and who did it, basically. And so it kind of goes between past and present the whole time. And it's kind of like a character study in a way. Like a lot of it I don't really think is plot driven. A lot of it is about Amy and Nick as people and like who they are to each other, how they interact with each other, how they met, how they treat other people, and how it affects their relationship. So, but it's long, you know, like it's long. And so it was interesting. Like, I think it's a great book to listen as an audiobook. Like I think that was like it's a great, like in your car, like it really feels like a murder mystery podcast situation. I gave it a 3 because I don't want to give anything away, but the twist, it's not my favorite kind of twist. I'm trying to do this whole review without spoiling it. I'm sure many of you have read this book. There's also the whole saying someone R-worded someone when they didn't actually R-word someone, an essay situation. And it's like, what is going on here with the essay? Like, I'm thinking about like all the books I read and I'm like, what's going on that y'all keep doing stuff like that? It's weird. It's weird, yo. I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all. I'm gonna be very real. A lot of this book was white people shenanigans. There was a lot that happened in that book where I was just like, this is some white people stuff. And not even in like a fun, it was just like kind of like I was like observing like, oh, this is interesting in like a weird way, but also like I felt very detached from the narrative as a whole. It was very well written, which is why I'm giving it a 3. But it was not for me as an individual. It was interesting, especially I think at the beginning, like watching things unfold and seeing how terrible these people are was very interesting. The last book I read for the month is John Scalzi's Redshirts. I kind of enjoyed it. I was like really spacey. So I was like, I saw the Star Trek cover and I was like, oh my God, space. Love it. This guy, his name is Andrew Dahl, and he gets assigned to this spaceship called Intrepid, and weird things start happening on the ship. Like things that don't make any sense, like in terms of physics, space physics or otherwise, about him trying to uncover like what the mystery is and why things are so weird and going to resolve said mystery. Now I will say it was fun. Like it's a very light read. It's very meta. The adventure ends like 80 pages before the book does, and it's like an 80-page long epilogue, and I hated it. I was like, oh, like this was like a nice fun book. Like I think I was gonna rate it like a 3.5 or something. But then the epilogue started, as I'd like to call it, the epilogue. I think they're called codas at the end, and I lost all interest. I was like, the adventure is over. The book is over. Why is it still going? Oh, it's still going. And it's still going. And it's like 50, 60, 70, 80 pages of this. And I'm just like, the book ended. The book ended. So annoying. And so for that reason, I rated it 2.5, because I was like, y'all had me in the first half. And then literally the last third of the book is like an epilogue about like, ooh, where are they now? I don't care. I don't care. That's all the books I read in January. Is February, so it's Black History Month. So you know how we're getting down this month. So far this month, I've read On Rotation by Shirlene Obobi. I really feel like I messed up her name. I used to follow her on Instagram. I read that. I read my one white book for the month because I put it on hold in the library and it just came in. I've been waiting so long to read that book. It's called Hench by Natalie Sum. She got 3 names. Natalie Sum. I'm currently reading The Blood Trials by Annie Davenport. I'm also planning on trying to read The Children of Blood and Bone. I'm having a hard time getting through it. I'm not going to lie to you. I also have the second book in this series, in the Blood Trial series. It's a duology, so I'm gonna read that. But I would love to do this again. Let me know if you guys like these videos, because I think it's just so much fun to do like monthly wrap-ups and just talk about like the thoughts that I had on the books I read this month. I told myself that if I make it like 6 months consistently of reading, that I was gonna get myself an e-reader. So I know the Kindle versus Kobo versus Books Palma versus Nook. I don't even know if Nook is still nooking, but I'm thinking about getting an e-reader, so let me know like what's the best one to get, because I was thinking of getting the Kobo Color Soft, I think it's called, the one that you can like annotate in color and stuff. That one looks amazing. Yeah, I think I might eat that up. So I'm still kind of debating, but if I make it to June and I'm still reading like this, then I'm probably gonna be getting an e-reader, because sometimes when you're laying in bed with the book like this, it's not comfortable, okay? And you try and configure it in a way to make it comfortable. It never works. So I would love to get an e-reader. That's the plan. I'll probably be back in March with another wrap up for February. This one's kind of late, like it's mid-February, but listen, there's been a lot going on. There's been a lot going on the past month or so. So I'm gonna try and get into doing regular uploads. I'm gonna try and upload more consistently. It's just like once I film and then I have to edit. When I edit, I'm trying to learn the software because I have the Adobe Creative Cloud. So I was like, oh, like since I have the Creative Cloud, because I use like Illustrator and Photoshop and stuff. So I was like, I have Premiere Pro, so why don't I just use Premiere Pro? I've never heard something so laughable in my life. I opened it and I cried. I cried because I felt my own inadequacy looking me dead in the face. That software is not for beginners. I've used iMovie before. That's what you get from me. So I got a free trial for Final Cut. But then I'm like, I don't want to spend money on Final Cut, because I already have Premiere Pro. Like that seems like a waste of money. But when I used Final Cut, I was like, this is nice. I was like, this is nice. I understand what's going on here. Like for like at least the amount of editing that I do, I understand what's going on here. When I open Premiere Pro, I get scared. I get chills. Okay? Goosebumps. It's horrible. But then I'm just like, should I just grit my teeth, like bite the bullet and just go ahead and try and learn it? I don't know. Okay, guys, that's it. I will see y'all when I see you. That's so cringe. I really need to figure out this outro situation.